The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Hi, this is Dr. Wayne Anderson, co-founder of Optavia, and I'm excited about talking to you about Element 24. It's one of my favorite. It really sets the stage for all our future growth. So let's get going on that. Let me put up the PowerPoint here, and we will be on our way. Okay. Let me just do one more thing to make it big. Okay. So clearly, the Optavia logo, if you look at it, is all about two things. First, the 24 hours in the day and how we can start making habits for each hour that help support us and have more optimal days, which leads to more optimal life. The second part, as you can see, is the transformation as the individual pieces become larger as we learn more and we grow. And this element really is talking about your journey to higher consciousness. And one of the main things, moving beyond your physical health, is your mental health. It's actually creating well-being. It's being able to put yourself in a situation where as the world happens, you're able to respond to it in a way that benefits or just minimizes any dysfunction to your health and obviously to how you think. So I'm going to talk about your journey to higher consciousness. And as the co-founder, I've spent most of my time, and as the author, really evolving more into our minds. You know, our minds control our bodies. They're so important for our long-term health. And in this element, we're going to discuss how you can grow, learn, and develop your consciousness. Really learn about the 4 levels of consciousness. Now, these are arbitrary levels that I set, but basically kind of define the principles that are written extensively in the literature. And we're learning more about how each one of those areas works. And then decide what is truly important to you and bring those into being. So as you develop emotional coherence or mastery, you're adding the keystones on which all adult psychological maturity is based. I can tell you that most people, will talk more about that during this element, really by the time they're out of high school, they've kind of stopped and arrested their emotional development. They kind of are at a level where they can survive and live and have a job, go to college, and have the rest of their life manage a family. And they can do okay in this level. Some people are very content there. But for those of you that want to build conscious, this window of tolerance, there's more. It's really the key and secret, I believe, to long-term optimal health and well-being. So there's 4 levels of consciousness. As I mentioned, they're kind of arbitrary. You know, different literature will put them in the different places, but I've kind of taken the general consensus. The first one is self-interest. This is the one that 95% of people find themselves in. It's really the parts that start when we're born until we grow up, and they're about survival, meeting your survival needs, belonging, feeling part of something, and our basic, our self-esteem or our ego. In other words, these are things about self-interest. The second level is actualized self. It means that once we finish, leave the home, whether it's to college or to start a job, we start figuring out life in terms of, you know, what do I want? What's important to me? And we discard some of our parental thoughts, and we kind of find our way to find out what works best for us. So this is a level where we start taking responsibility, and I'm going to talk more about it in just a moment. The third level, integrated self, is to the point where now you're able to open your window of tolerance, and you can pretty much, you know, people don't realize the world is no certain way. A lot of people try to make through their worldviews, the world should be a certain way. And that's a recipe for a lifetime of suffering, because the world is it's just the world, and it has events that happen, good and bad. There's good and bad people. There's some countries that are democratic, some that are communist, some that are socialist. all these are different areas and different worldviews. And what we have a tendency to do, especially in the self-interest phase, is we try to get everybody to believe in what we believe. And, it's pretty going to be pretty frustrating. What's important is, if you think about a fish swims in a fishbowl or in the ocean, and they're in water all the time, but they're not even sure, or they're not even aware that they're in water. And so most of us are sleepwalking through life. And the more we can start to open our level of consciousness and get ourselves out of the way and integrate ourselves so we can function at a high level, the more we'll find that there's less suffering. You're able to see other people's points of view. We like to say, you live on a planet, I live on a different planet. It's nice to be curious. What's life like on someone else's planet? And that's how we can build relation health. And then the last one is selflessness self. This is the point where we've moved our ego and life is just happening through us. And this is the area that if we can ascribe to reach this level of consciousness, boy, life really becomes pretty rewarding, because you're helping others, you're part of a collective universal way of thinking where we can thrive and really have a great life. So I want to spend more, but most people, the most important thing to go is going from the self-interest, which is the blame game. It's the drama triangle. It's being closed, defensive, and wanting to be right. And it adds a lot of suffering, psychological suffering, and as a result can hurt our physical health. To the actualized self, this is the one where we're taking responsibility, we're playing above the line, we're open and curious, and we want to grow, and we realize that we're responsible for what's going on in our life. So I'm going to spend more time on that. So it's all about moving from below the line, or being closed, defensive, committed to being right, which is phase one or conscious level one of self-interest, to moving on to being in a place where we can be self-actualized and create optimal health and well-being for ourselves and also help others. So in that, the secondary choice, if we go back to our structural attention charts we've been talking about throughout the Habits Health system, we need to find what are the secondary choices that will help us move from this kind of tight, below the line, defensive, needing to be right and struggling with that and perceived threats, to being optimally healthy and well-being. Well, it's about the things we've been talking about. It's about being above the line, being open, open to other people's opinion, open to what's going on around you, curious, when something happens, rather than take a position on it's got to be this way and this is my story, being curious. So what does this mean? What does this all mean? And with that, focused on learning to grow. If you are centered on growth and you're open to feedback, you can grow continuously. But if we're stuck in that level one, we basically we don't want to hear feedback. We take feedback very personally, and it really frustrates. Instead of, feedback, successful conscious leaders is basically, feedback is the breakfast of those champions. People that want to become higher version of themselves are open to feedback, and you learn from it. And, you take it as far as from who it comes from, obviously, but it can really help you. And it's about abundant thinking and action-based. We want to grow and learn, so we practice. We go to the mental gym. Just like, we teach you throughout the Habits Health to start moving more and to go to the gym or exercise and add weight resistance training and cardiovascular fitness. We want you to go to the mental gym. If you spend time, and, obviously one of the things I talk about in the system is meditation. Meditation is a great way to kind of get yourself out of the way and kind of be open to what's going on around you. But it's about daily going to the mental gym and learning about that. So how does this all work? Well, throughout our day, we have moments of presence. We see something, we're aware, and then something happens. Someone in a meeting says something which we perceive as a threat to ourselves. Someone cuts in front of you in traffic. Doesn't really matter what it is. And what ends up happening is we go below the line. We have an emotion, we get mad, we're a victim, or why did that person do that to me? Or we're the villain, we blame it on somebody. It could be ourselves, could be someone else, but that shouldn't have happened. Or the hero, we come in and save the day because we can't stand the dysfunction. So we got to go help somebody in a situation where they don't really need to be helped. You're just enabling them more in the drama triangle to being more of the villain or being more of the victim. So instead, we want to obviously coach them. We want to be part of the solution for them. And one of the things you see, once you get down in the drama triangle, it's tough to get out. It's tough to recover because your emotions get in it. And when your emotions in it, your Labrador brain, which we've talked about, is initiated and your thinking brain's not working. So what we want to do is we want to find a way when you start to feel that icky sauce inside you, it'll tell you, if you're angry, you'll feel it in your jaw. If you're scared, you might feel it in your throat or in your stomach. The throat can also signify you're sad, but you want to identify that emotion and let it pass by stop. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Challenge. What does it mean? Why am I doing this? And then choose an outcome that moves you forward. If it's an emotion, boom, we're going to talk more about this, and we have in chapter in element 22. But bottom line is, what we want to do is feel that emotion, identify it, become self-aware, and then move forward. That'll keep us from going down into that drama triangle, which is pretty cool. So I want to talk a moment about this because this is one of the things that I talk about in our book with Robert Fritz on identity. And I think it's really important. What we want for ourselves to organize our life around what matters most to us and then to create that, it's really important for us to focus on what we're creating. And this is the pure model, how it should look. We're the creator and we're creating a better life. We're creating you're building a house, or you're working on becoming a higher version of yourself, or you're working on consciousness, or you're working on, one of the other habits of health. And you're going to focus on that, and you're going to make mistakes sometime. But you don't want that to reflect on you from the standpoint of beating yourself up. You want to say, you know what? I'm open, curious. Why did that happen? But keep focusing on what we're creating. This is a powerful thing. This is the whole orientation. As a critical care physician, I reacted to disease. And yeah, we kept people from dying, but we never gave anybody the power to create optimal health in their life or well-being. And that's what I do now. I help people awaken, have self-awareness, focus on what they want and what they want to create. Optimal health and well-being is a creative process. It is focusing on what we want to bring into being, not what's wrong with what's going on. So this is really important for us. So basically, that's it. That's a great start for you, going from the level of being below the line, blaming, thinking that I'm a victim, everything's happening to me, to taking responsibility and control and realizing that we can grow. Third, as you move forward over time, and there's books in the habitshealth.com site that you can look at, where you can basically learn more about increasing your level of consciousness up to when you've both self-actualized and actually integrated yourself. So now everything's like water on a duck's back, and then obviously to the next level where you're helping us in any way you want, through helping your family, your community, the country, the world, whatever you're up for. So basically, I want you to think about, what does that element mean for me right now at this point where I am in my journey? What does it mean? What does the element give me the opportunity to reflect on? Do I want more? If I realize that, I want to move my level of consciousness higher? And third, what actions are you going to take now if you decided you're going to go ahead and open your sphere? So we call it in interpersonal neurobiology, we call it your window of tolerance. In other words, how do you respond to the way the world comes at you, right? Because things are going to happen. We're going to have great things happen and we're going to have sad things happen. But how do we respond to them? We're going to get upset sometimes and just go out in traffic any day. So it's going to help you do that. So are you ready? And what actions are you going to take? And I suggest clearly that you sit down with your coach and go over this, because your coach has been trained and is on the journey to higher consciousness. And we want you to go with them. So anyway, remember, use the YouTube playlist, and let's go out and get you healthy and have more optimal health and well-being in your life, and help your family and friends and people you care about. Thanks. Join us next time. We will be talking about element 25, which is where we go into, as you reach optimal health and well-being, it's when we start talking about the habits of longevity, potentially living a longer, healthier life. See ya.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.